Welcome to Stoic Reflections, the place where modern men come to unlearn weakness, reclaim their power, and master the one thing no one else is teaching them: emotional discipline. In today's world, most men are trained to chase, to over-explain, to prove their worth to women who never valued them in the first place. They beg for closure. They spiral when ignored. They confuse silence for rejection instead of using it as a weapon of self-respect. But not here. At Stoic Reflections, we don't chase validation. We don't play emotional games. We don't base our identity on whether or not she chooses us. We choose ourselves. Because power doesn't come from being liked, it comes from being respected. Respect is earned through stillness, through self-control, through walking away without saying a word, and letting your absence haunt her long after you're gone. If you're tired of being emotionally manipulated, if you're done being a backup plan, a second option, or a maybe. If you're ready to become the kind of man who commands respect without ever having to demand it, then you're in the right place. This video isn't about winning her back. It's about never losing your self-worth again. This is Stoic Reflections, and this is where your transformation begins. She thinks you're still chasing. When she walks away, she expects you to chase. Not because she loves you, but because she assumes she can control you. She believes you'll fold, that your ego needs her validation, that you're too weak to let go. And if you do what most men do, text, beg, question, it only confirms her belief. You were never the man, she was. But when you don't react, when you don't say a word, when you disappear without explanation, you break the script. Now she's confused. Because silence is not what she expected. Stillness is not what she prepared for. Understand this. Your silence doesn't show weakness. It reveals power. It says, "I'm not here to convince you of my worth." It says, "Leave if you want, but don't expect the door to stay open." Most men try to make her feel their pain. But the high-value man, he lets her feel his absence. And nothing hits harder than the man she thought would chase, choosing not to. No goodbye, no closure, just cold, calm distance. She'll scroll, she'll stalk, she'll wonder, but you've already made your move by making no move at all. And in that silence, something shifts. She starts to realize she doesn't have you like she thought she did. Your silence creates pressure. At first, she's unbothered. She thinks the silence means nothing. She tells herself, you're just playing it cool, that you'll reach out soon, just like always. But every day you stay quiet, something shifts. Not in you, in her. Because silence from a man she expected to control, that's not peace, that's pressure. She starts to feel it in waves, checking her phone, wondering why you haven't cracked, telling herself she doesn't care while refreshing your profile in the dark. You didn't insult her, you didn't beg, you didn't try to prove anything. You simply withdrew, and now the absence is unbearable. Women are used to attention, to emotional responses, so when you give her nothing, it forces reflection. Not on you, on herself. She replays your last interaction. She questions her value in your eyes. She wonders if she misjudged you. Because emotional men are predictable, but stoic men, they're dangerous. They don't chase, they don't argue, they vanish and make her feel the weight of their silence. And here's the truth. If you react, she wins. If you detach, she crumbles. That pressure she's feeling, it's not from what you said, it's from what you didn't. Because nothing is more powerful than the man she thought needed her, acting like he never did. 3. She will start to doubt herself. She thought you'd fold. She expected you to react, to chase, to prove you still cared. But you didn't. No message. No explanation, just quiet distance. Now the silence is starting to echo. At first, she acted unfazed. She told her friends you were probably playing games, that she could have you back if she wanted. But deep down, that silence is working on her. She checks your story. She scrolls your profile. She watches because she's not hearing from you. And when women don't get attention, they start looking inward. She wonders why you're not chasing like the others. She asks herself, did he move on? Is he with someone else? Was he stronger than I thought? Now she's overthinking. The same woman who thought she had power is now the one losing sleep. Because you broke the pattern. You didn't beg. You didn't try to win her back. You let your absence do what your words never could. Create doubt. Her ego doesn't know how to process that. She'll test you silently, watching, waiting, posting bait. But you stay silent. And that silence says everything. It says, I've outgrown you. It says, you're not the source of my worth. It says, you lost access. And now, her confidence is cracking. Her pride is bruised. She's questioning everything she assumed about you. Because the man who doesn't react, the man who doesn't explain, that's the man she remembers. That's the man she starts to miss. When she tries to pull you back, at some point, her silence will break. Not with an apology, not with accountability, but with a test. She'll like an old post. Send a hey text. React to your story with something casual, safe. Why? Because reaching out directly would expose her pride. So she throws the bait, hoping you'll bite first. This is not reconciliation. This is a power check. She wants to know, do I still have him? Is he still waiting? Can I pull him back? And here's where most men fail. They jump at the bait. They respond instantly. They take crumbs and call it connection. But not you. You don't chase. You don't reward half effort. You don't give access to someone who disrespected your value. Because when you respond emotionally, you lose frame. When you validate her test, you undo your silence. But when you stay detached, that's when the shift happens. She starts to realize you've changed, that your silence wasn't manipulation, it was growth. She feels the gap now. She senses you've stepped into power, and she's no longer sure she can reach you. And that is what pulls her in. Not your attention, not your reaction, your unavailability. Because emotional men are easy to read, but a grounded Stoic man, he's unpredictable, untouchable, unapologetic. Let her reach out. Let her test, but don't flinch. Your silence was never weakness. It was strategy, and now it's working. She will pretend she doesn't care. Here's what women do when they start to feel your absence. They pretend it doesn't bother them. She'll post happy selfies, laugh in stories, show herself living her best life. But it's not real, it's a performance. A subtle way to say, look, I'm fine without you. What she's really doing is watching your reaction. She wants to know, are you jealous? Do you miss her? Will this post trigger you? Because deep down she's unsettled. Your silence made her doubt herself. Now she needs to prove to you and to herself that she still has power. So she plays games, posts thirst traps, mentions new people, tries to make you feel the way she's starting to feel replaced. But the high-value man doesn't flinch. You don't react. You don't comment. You don't let her bait break your frame. Because her I don't care energy is just noise. If she didn't care, she wouldn't be trying so hard to look like she doesn't. This is how women process regret, through performance. They don't come out and say, I miss you. They post it, mask it, indirectly show it. Your job is not to decode it. Your job is to remain still. Because when she pretends not to care and you respond with silence, that's when the act starts to collapse. She realizes she's losing emotional grip and she can't handle that. The more you ignore the show, the more real her emotions become, and that's when the mask cracks. 6. She'll try to reclaim control. The silence is getting to her now. She thought she had the upper hand. She thought you'd come crawling back. But you didn't, and that disrupts everything. So what does she do next? She tries to reclaim control, not through love, not through vulnerability, but through strategy. She might insult you subtly, say you never cared anyway, act like you were the problem the whole time, or worse, she might start dating someone else, publicly, quickly. But it's not about connection, it's about leverage. She's trying to regain the power she lost when you didn't chase. Because in her mind, this isn't over, it's war. And control is her weapon of choice. But here's the thing, If she really moved on, she wouldn't need to prove it. She wouldn't post it, flaunt it, force it. She would simply disappear, but she doesn't. She stays visible for one reason: she wants you to see it. Why? Because if you react, she wins. If you get angry, jealous, bitter, she knows you're still emotionally invested. But when you stay silent, when you don't respond, don't engage, don't explain, she starts to lose control over the narrative. Your detachment becomes the loudest answer. It tells her, you don't have that kind of power over me anymore. That's the deepest cut. Not revenge, not games, just calm, unapologetic indifference. Let her play chess with ghosts. You've already left the board. 7, she'll reach out casually, but it's never casual. One day her name will pop up. Not with, I miss you. Not with an apology. It'll be something meaningless. Hey, how've you been? Just saw something that reminded me of you. Don't fall for the softness of the message. It's never about what she says. It's why she's saying it. This isn't casual. It's calculated. She's testing the waters, trying to see if the door she closed is still open. But here's what matters. You don't need to slam the door. You just don't need to open it. Why? Because real reconnection requires real effort. Not a lazy text, not a breadcrumb. Too many men see a simple message and think, she still loves me. No, she misses the access, the comfort, the attention, not necessarily you. And if you respond with excitement, if you give her the reaction she came looking for, you've already lost the frame. The right move isn't to ignore her out of spite, it's to recognize the difference between a genuine return and a bored impulse. You're not a placeholder. You're not an emotional option. You're a man who learned not to entertain half effort. So when she sends that, hey, you don't chase closure, you don't chase connection. You stay calm, you stay clear, you stay gone. Because if she really wanted you back, she'd show up with more than a text. She'll realize you were rare. At first, she convinced herself you were replaceable. She thought attention was everywhere, that the next man would treat her better, chase harder, care more. But slowly, reality hits. The new guy isn't grounded. He's too available, too reactive, too eager to please. And now, she remembers you. Not the weak moments, but the strength. Your calm, your silence, your refusal to be controlled. She starts to replay how you didn't beg, how you didn't try to fix what she broke, how you walked away without noise. And that memory grows, because the truth is, high-value men are rare. Emotionally disciplined men are feared before they're respected. But once she's tasted the difference, everything else feels weak. She won't admit it. She may even fight it. But internally, she knows. She lost something she didn't fully understand. And now she can't forget it. Not because you chased, not because you convinced her, but because you didn't. You became the one who slipped through her fingers quietly. And that silence now echoes louder than any words. You didn't just walk away. You showed her what it feels like to lose a man with standards. 9, she'll want another chance, but you won't need it. Eventually she'll circle back. Maybe she won't say it directly. Maybe she'll just linger longer in your world, send you something nostalgic, say she was thinking about the past. But the energy will be different this time. No pride, no games, just subtle signs of regret. Why? Because time exposed the truth. She left thinking you'd wait. She thought you'd always be an option, but you weren't. You moved on, not in anger, but in strength. You didn't chase, you didn't explain, you just evolved. And now, she's realizing something she never expected. You don't need her anymore, not emotionally, not physically, not for closure. She may still want another chance, but you've already found peace. Not because someone else came along, but because you came back to yourself. That's what she really notices. Not your success, not your glow-up, but the fact that you no longer seek validation from her. That's what haunts her. She wanted you broken. You came back unbothered. and now she sees the truth. You were the one. She let go, and there's no way back in. Because Stoic men don't reopen closed doors, they build new ones and lock them behind growth. She may come back. She may regret. She may finally see what she lost. But you don't move backwards, you don't beg for returns, you don't lower your standards to relive what broke you. Because you're not in the business of proving your worth anymore. You've mastered what most men never will: emotional control, self-respect, silence that speaks louder than words. This isn't about revenge, this is about power, not over her, over yourself. And that's what we teach here, at Stoic Reflections. If you're done being reactive, if you're ready to lead with presence, discipline, and masculine clarity, then this is your space. Subscribe, detach, and rebuild from strength. Stoic Reflections, where silence is strategy and self-respect is non-negotiable.